I don't know, this title, I wasn't even planning on, this title just came like this, Spiritual awakening, emotions, and relationships. How does that all go together? Spiritual awakening is a purity about that. Like, I'm awake, I'm spiritual, I realize my spiritual nature, I've transcended the mental and emotional and physical limitations. Now I'm resting in my true nature. There's some awakening like that. People like that. Well, some. I'll make another video why people are afraid of a spiritual awakening, but let's assume, but something inside wants a spiritual awakening. It's just usually we want it a little later. Can I just go enjoy and play around a little bit and do some dumb shit a little bit, just a little bit, and then I'm ready, so like that. But emotions and relationships, how does that tie into the spiritual awakening? See, emotions and relationships block, so to speak, we're talking in duality, the spiritual awakening. Emotions are heavy, especially the female nature. Like they're just more emotional. Guys are more mental. One's not better than the other. The guys, when you're more mental, there's more chance for arrogance and ego and, I'm going to blow up the whole world because that country is messing with me and I'm going to show them. This is the idiocy of the male mind. And in UFC, I watched the main championship last night there was no belt on the line, but Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson. And then this new guy, Khamzat Chimaev. Damn, this guy's something. Just runs through people. UFC has the best of the best elite fighters. This guy just runs through you. That's it. He'll just take you and you're done. Yeah. And, but okay, so Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson, these guys are older. They're 30. They need to stop. But UFC's a business, and they have a big name, so they want to milk them for every little ounce of energy they have left before they let them go, And their ego, this is my point, ego is so identified and attached to the praise that they have no life without this. This is how they get their juice. They can't quit, They just can't quit. Like Muhammad Ali, he should have quit long before. He shouldn't have done that. I think it was his last fight where Leonard Hearns or somebody would just kept beating him, and then the coach finally stopped it, and then the ref didn't even want him to stop it. You imagine? Because they're thinking about, the fans paid all this money, and if you stop it, maybe. Business is ruthless, man. Like Muhammad Ali's like it was clear he was taking too much damage, and the coach is like, no, man, I'm the coach. I'm telling you to stop it. Like he had to fight with the ref to get him to stop it. So but why did Muhammad Ali even fight? Identity. It's like a lot of these actors, old actors. They should just stop acting in Hollywood. But who are they beyond the acting role? This is all they know. It gives you a sense of aliveness and everything. So they have a hard time stopping. What was the point? Spiritual awakening. Okay, obviously that identity can block that. Emotions, relationships. Emotions. Oh, women have emotions. Right, I went off on the male ego. So that's the pitfall for a male who's too mental, is this ego and arrogance, and this is the kind of stuff you do, like the examples I gave. A woman she's not going to, if all the country had women presidents, we're not going to go to war. It's just not in her nature, unless it's, one of these excessively imbalanced masculine women. But your average woman, if she's in touch with her feminine nature, she don't think like that. They don't do that. Like they don't do that, But what's the negative side? Too emotional. If you're too emotional, you're delusional. You get delusional, like literally, because your feelings is just that they just take you over. You can't logically see anything anymore. It's just everything goes by feeling, That's why they balance each other, man and woman. This is the game, duality. So these emotions and feelings, they can take you off your center. You incarnate back into this human drama. So what's spiritual awakening is when we realize that The consciousness is what we are, and this human game is playing inside that. Human game meaning mind, emotions, body, acting, reacting, talking, there's a you, there's a me, all that. That's happening inside consciousness. You can switch everything off right now and you can feel this presence. That's consciousness. Let's keep things simple. Like I don't people like to, but and Atman, and okay, it's cool. But just switch everything off and you can feel like there's this state of presence, this consciousness. Me talking right now, I'm watching myself talk. It's happening inside of this state of presence. This state of presence isn't talking. It can't talk. Don't have a mouth. It doesn't have a form. I'm feeling I'm enjoying making this video, so there's a sense of satisfaction. That's happening inside the consciousness. It doesn't have feelings. So that's the sadhana, is to recognize that we're consciousness. But there's also the trap or the risk of getting identified if a strong emotion comes. What's an example? I get a sharp pain in my body or something. Oh, my attention's going into that. Then something might forget, seemingly. Like, wait, that's happening inside the consciousness. Your boyfriend leaves you, your girlfriend leaves you. Somebody was leaving a message about that. I wrote him back. And it's heavy. You can't think straight when that happens. When you're lovesick, that's heavy. So that your spiritual practice probably isn't going to be as on point as if everything's going smooth. Relationships. Work relationships, romantic relationships. These are the main triggers for people. This is what will bring out, wherever you can be hit, these two relationships, categories will bring that out. So, that has to happen for a while. Because we have desires to experience certain things, our motives sometimes are a little selfish or off, and so then that's going to cause some friction. Maybe we're in a business relationship, I have my ideas, he has his ideas, but we don't share that with each other. Like we're focused on the money. Like really I want to make money and he wants to make money, but we have different ideas, and so after a point in time there's going to be a conflict, and then I don't know, sometimes people get killed or get into a fight, or sometimes it's just you say, okay, I'm done. But during that whole process there's a lot of emotional turmoil that can come up. Why? Because the individual has its own little agenda and projections and desires it wants to get met. That was a business relationship example. A romantic relationship, same thing. You meet the first month or two, it's cool, because the expectations, they're dormant right now. Now we're just relating from being to being. It's like, oh, this is great, where we flow, we have chemistry, and this is fun. Expectations and projections haven't came up yet. They're there, they haven't came up yet. Have sex and then they'll come up. That's why I say after sex, it's all downhill. Not all the time, but many times for many people. So fast forward some time, a few months or something, or after you have sex a few times, all of a sudden these expectations and desires and projections that you want from the other person, that's going to start to manifest. And hers too. And then there's conflict. So again, that can seemingly block, if you have a sadhana or spiritual practice, that will seem to impair that. But that has to happen. That's how we get cleaned out of this karma, of our desires and expectations and selfishness and all that. That stuff, we have to suffer that for a little bit, and then if we're smart and if we have a spiritual practice, we'll see through it. Doesn't mean we just stop feeling the pain. That's part of the process. We got to go through that. That's how we transform. It's like it's alchemy, but it can be messy. We got to feel that stuff, and then it can transform. The selfishness and expectations can transform more into compassion and not having personal desires. But you got to have the personal desires, and you got to be resentful before you can experience the opposite quality. The opposite qualities, if that's what we imbibe, then a spiritual practice is easier. What does that mean? That means being aware that we're consciousness is easier. And then what does that mean? That means that then we can experience a nice sense of serenity in peace more often, and it's more deep. And what does that mean? Then that means you can say, I'm enlightened. Right? You can make videos and claim you're awake. That's why I like the St. Francis prayer. I've mentioned it before. This man knows. We got to go through a while where we want to be understood. We want to take. We want people to love us. After a while, we'll suffer that personal selfish ego, and the opposite will happen. We start to see it's better to understand. It's better to forgive rather than to be forgiven. It's better to comfort than to be comforted. He says like 12 things like that, opposites. That's transcendence, that's evolution. That takes a little bit of time, and we can't buck this evolutionary process. It's impossible. We got to go through the grind a little bit. But the consciousness isn't going through the grind. So who cares, you know? Of course, we're going to care because it feels real, and we experience. Otherwise, we just wouldn't. We'd just be like, okay, whatever. So we're going to experience it as though it's real, and then when the transformation, alchemic process does happen, and we start to evolve, we're going to enjoy that, and we're supposed to. You can't just dismiss everything. Peace comes. You can't. But there's no peace really. That's the pure self doesn't have peace. It's beyond quality. What's that? Yeah. The spiritual awakening process isn't life denying on any level. You're full on with life. This is otherwise like. Can't you feel it though? I don't know how. Yeah, I do, but I'm just saying when you. Because there's a lot of people that they have this dry talk about spirituality, and it's like, who wants to like who's getting something from that? Other dry intellects. But I mean, if somebody doesn't have any juice of spirituality, or if you don't feel their vibe, like if they're not pro-life on some level, pro-life but not so attached to life, then it's like, how are you helping anybody? Anyway, just fun to, contemplate this stuff and pontificate a little bit. All right, have a good day.